guys, welcome back. I wanted to talk about this because I feel like most people would see going from a high paying job to a low paying job as a failure. But from my experience so far, I feel like this has been an amazing blessing. But before I even get into it, I want to make sure that I'm not insensitive. I understand that not everybody's going to agree with my perspective, and that's totally fine. Please don't take this as a hit that I'm telling you you should think this way and you should be appreciative of where you're at in life. That is not my goal at all. My hope and my goal is that if you're somebody who is in a position like I am, that you could actually see the bright side of it and learn from the situation. If you haven't been watching my last videos, whoops. Previously I mentioned that I was working for a very high paying job. And I mean, like, the job was the ideal job. It was the perfect job for me. It wasn't glamorous, but it was the perfect job. So I did this job for several years, and like many other companies, 2020 came and it was like the world changed. And so because the world changed, the needs of the job and the demands of the job changed, and eventually what was the ideal situation in my career became a nightmare. The demands kept increasing, but the tools were not. It got harder and harder. Forget even just trying to be successful. It just got harder and harder just to do the job. So the very first thing that I did was try to think about what my options were. I interviewed a bunch of other people who were working in other departments that I was interested in, kind of got a feel of what the day-to-day was for them, and their satisfaction with the role, the security of the role. And then with the jobs, they would post them, they would be available, we would post out to them, and then they would either withdraw the position or the position was already filled. It was really weird. The opportunities were starting to rapidly decrease in the company. So I was like, okay. So I tried that. I got to a point where I got so depressed that I decided the last thing that I was gonna do, my last hoorah, was see a therapist and take time off. And my therapist was like, okay, we've been talking about this for a year and a half now, so I think it's time to switch out. I felt very discouraged because I felt like what was happening within the company was happening outside too. People were being let go left and right in major companies, as you know. And so it was risky. It was very risky for me to leave my industry and leave my company knowing what was going out there. But it was even more risky to stay in a place where I could feel myself literally deteriorating. I think for me, I draw the line when I don't show up. Like, if I'm not here mentally, that's too far. As a leader and as a colleague, I don't think it's fair to me that I show up somewhere where I cannot be a full version of myself. I don't think it's fair to my colleagues that I can't show up with the energy to help them and support them. I'm definitely doing a disservice to my agents if I'm being pulled in so many directions that I'm coming to them empty when they need me. I can endure, I can persevere, but when it gets to a point where I'm sacrificing my mental health and people's expectations of me and the things that they need from me, that I'm not for that. That's too much. So I left. It was scary, but I decided it was scarier to continue to be a shell of myself and become this empty person who had like a mental breakdown. And I felt like I was on that path. I felt like I was on the path of a mental breakdown. And to me, that's way more scary than not having job security. That's just my opinion. But anyway, so I left this job, and honestly, I left confidently. I left in faith because I do believe in myself and I believed in my journey. But it has been a very humbling 5 months. Despite all of my efforts and all of the time that I've poured into looking for jobs and looking for other things, I haven't gotten a call back, nothing. So in the beginning, I was very picky. In the beginning, I was very like, I'm not settling because I have skills, I have tenure, I have a background of success, I get results. I'm not settling. And so I was like, oh snap. After 4 or 5 months, I'm like, maybe I should settle. Even when I settled, it still didn't work. I'm sitting at home the other day, a couple weeks ago, and I'm like thinking about this stuff, and I'm like, this could be a sign. This is probably a sign that I think that I'm supposed to be here and I'm supposed to be making this because I wasn't making this last year and I'm not going to make this again. Let me try to pursue something that I care about, that I love, that I think is fun, that I can learn from, but not necessarily have the title. I went after a job at Sephora. Indeed said they were looking for a temporary beauty advisor. So I was like, this is how am I going to explain to people that I'm working at Sephora as a beauty advisor, knowing that I was in a management team in a huge company. Like, how do I explain that? Honestly, that thought came to my mind and I tossed it aside because I'm learning in my 30s that I can't make decisions based on what people think of me or what they might say about me. I really have to do a lot of self-reflecting and a lot of looking within to see what my intrinsic motives are and challenging those intrinsic motives. And so I felt like I was like, I don't think it matters. It doesn't matter what they think because they're not the ones paying my bills. I put my application in and literally the next day I got a text or I got an email saying, hey, we are actually looking to set up interviews at such and such time. So please just come in at this time from 1 to 5 and we'll interview you. So long story short, I literally get hired same day. I don't even think it was the same day. I think literally 30 minutes later I got an email saying, hey, congratulations. I was like, oh. If you are like me and you're in this position where you are at a job that you absolutely cannot believe you're in because you feel like you're super overqualified and it just doesn't make sense, I would say take these moments and learn as much as you can. What's super important and what I've learned is that I have to realize that the journey that I have endured has been mine alone. I'm the only one that knows all the details of this journey. Me and God. We're the only ones who are actually as invested in this journey. And only He and I know what I want out of this journey. I cannot spend time beating myself up because I went from this high paying job to this low paying job. Instead, what I feel like that I've had to do is take this moment where I had 4 or 5 months and feeling like I wasn't making any moves and I wasn't making any progress and say, okay, well, if this is the case, then I'm going to make sure I do things that I love, that actually do impact me, and that make me feel like I have purpose. So far, I love my coworkers. I think they're very cool. I'm being educated in skincare. I'm being educated in makeup. I'm being educated in customer service. I'm never going to miss out on learning something new, especially if it's stuff that I actually care about and it's stuff that's actually relevant to me. I always said that if I had time, I would volunteer and help a student that was like me. I would be the mentor that I needed when I was in high school. So I signed up for Take Stock in Children, and I have the opportunity to take all of my life experiences and pour it into this child, and making sure that however I can support her or encourage her or provide her resources, I do that. And I do that because I have freedom to do it. And in doing that, I've realized that I've gotten a quality out of life that I would have never gotten if I stayed in the previous job that I had. I'm hoping that if you lost your job or if you had to let it go because it was not something that you could accommodate in your life, whether it be emotionally, physically, or your family dynamic, or maybe relocation, I want you to know that your life is not over. That if you're in a place where you're not doing anything, find something that you care about to do. And who knows, you might find out that you actually have an amazing gift that you should be growing and pouring into. And what you think is a curse and what you think is an inconvenience is actually an open door to something new and something cool. And I think at the very least, what I could say I walk away from this with is I got a chance to tap back into my creative world. I knew I was a creative as a kid, but when you're in survival mode, you kind of lose sight of that. And I think I spent so much time just trying to survive, trying to pay bills, trying to pay my student loans back, that I forgot that I have passions that go beyond finish school, make money, save money, make more money, get married. Like, life is so much more than those things. Okay, final thoughts. Trust your journey. It's not about the arrival, it's the journey. It's the people you meet on the way, it's the lessons you learn, it's the wins that you get, it's the miracles that you get to witness, it's the people that you get to impact, it's the things that you get to do, the things you learn about yourself. There's a really good chance that I will never have this freedom again. I don't wish that for anybody, but realistically, most of us will never have this kind of freedom ever in our lives. And so I would say try your best not to resent it. Thank you for staying on this journey with me. Oh, pray for me, y'all. I don't know. Pray for me. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good, though. It's gonna be good. It is a temporary position, so I don't know how long it's gonna last, but we'll see.